Welcome back to Wretches and Wrenches. I might have missed a week, all right, I admit it. But today, all kinds of things that we need to do. We're not going to do them. Air conditioner quit working. Don't know why. Just quit working. Need to figure that out. We got to do those control arms, but I'm not going to do none of that. I ain't got time. What I am going to do is show you the Florida man's guide to changing your oil. Hit me with an intro. So let me show y'all this new setup I got. So I had this shelf and it was getting crowded, and y'all know I had parts on the floor. I bought another one just like it. Put it on both sides of the toolbox. I still need to talk to my dad about that toolbox he said I could have, because that one is, it ain't much good. Apparently cleaning it was not a good idea. So on this one I got parts of what I believe to be the rear brakes for an F-150. I'm not real sure. That's some miscellaneous stuff. Center caps for the Ranger's wheels, and the gauges for the Ranger that I bought. I showed y'all previously. The control arms we got to put on. F-150 fuel pump that I bought for Scarlet, and some other miscellaneous things on there. So I got all the stuff up out of the floor. It looks nice now. So I get the other toolbox. We'll be jam up. It's starting to rain, so hopefully the microphone does its job and doesn't pick up any background noise. Although I know rain in Florida will overwhelm it, especially on this tin roof. So let's talk about oil and changing oil. You might be somebody. There's going to be two different opinions. If you're watching this video. One, you've been changing your own oil for your whole life, such as me. I've been doing that as well. And two, you've never changed your oil, or maybe you want to try it and tired of paying Jiffy Lube or whoever it is you take it to all that money. I don't know how much it costs because I've never done it. But if you don't know nothing about oil and changing your oil, then you take it to Jiffy Lube, there's no telling what they're going to sell you, because they know you don't know nothing about it. And you're going to be like, well, they're the experts. When really they're probably ripping you off and getting you to buy stuff you don't need. I know that because my wife used to take her car to Jiffy Lube. And she'd be like, well, they told me I got to get this. I'm like, they're just telling you that because they know you were going to buy it. So if you've been changing your oil for a long time, chances are you have a favorite oil brand, favorite filter, and stuff like that. And if you've not been changing your oil your whole life, chances are you're going to buy what somebody else tells you to buy. So I wanted to break down some things about oil changes, what's important and what's not important, and how easy it is to do. First of all, I got a Wix filter. To me, this is one of the most important parts of your oil change. All filters are not the same. And I remember when I was a kid, my dad's company that he worked for when I was a kid, they only used Wix. And I'm pretty sure anyway. And there's videos on YouTube you can look at where they cut open a Wix and a Fram and they compare them, and the Wix is better, head over tails better than a Fram. Rain's picking up. Hopefully the noise cancellation is doing its job. If not, we'll cut to a voiceover here. Anyhow, there are companies that make their own store brand oil filters that are made by the same company that makes Wix oil filters. I believe Napa Gold is one of them, and I'm not sure the rest of them, but there are companies you can get their store brand and it'll be the same as a Wix, so you'll be all right there. But I always try and get a Wix. Now, as far as your oil is concerned, this is the part where you probably, if you, like I said, if you've been doing it for a long time, you probably have an oil brand that you're like, oh, I only ever buy Valvoline, or I only ever buy Havoline, or whatever. Or maybe you only buy the expensive stuff, whatever. To me, it don't matter. People in the groups on Facebook or something be like, what kind of oil should I be running in this truck? And I always tell them, the slippery kind. As long as it's slippery, you're good. Now there are some factors to take into account. If your vehicle is newer, then a thinner oil, like a 20 weight, whatever, you know, it probably says it on your oil cap under your engine, what kind of oil they recommend you using. Well, that's their recommendation for a newer vehicle. Now, if your vehicle gets older, you might want to start running some thicker oil because some of your seals are going to start getting wore out, and that thinner oil is going to get through them a little bit easier than a thicker oil. So I got Castrol GTX high mileage because this thing's got over 200,000 miles. Helps extend vehicle life. This is synthetic blend because apparently they don't make conventional motor oil anymore. Because I didn't see any at O'Reilly's. Maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough. But I couldn't find any conventional motor oil. They had synthetic and they had synthetic blend. So we got synthetic blend because it was $31. And I almost got diesel oil because I know there's some guys on YouTube that run diesel oil in, you know, regular cars, and it's cheaper, but I figured I'd just go with something I know. I've used Castrol many times in the past, and in fact, when I changed the oil on the Ranger, I just used O'Reilly's brand because I don't hardly ever drive that truck. But if you're looking, trying to figure out what kind of oil, let me tell you, synthetic is going to be more expensive. And I remember when I was young and dumb, when I bought my first brand new vehicle when I was 19 years old, and I started using synthetic, and that stuff was expensive, and it still is today. So, I mean, if you want to spend that kind of money, by all means, but I don't know what kind of benefits there are to synthetic because I haven't really ever noticed any. But just whatever kind of oil you want to run. I mean, obviously some brands are better than others. But for the most part, you're only going to have, if you change your oil on a regular basis, unlike me, because I haven't changed the oil in this October. I want to say it was October. I'm not sure. And it's July now, so I don't change my oil as often as I should, but it's fine. You know, people tell you all kind of horror stories that probably ain't never going to happen to you. So if you keep up with your oil changes on a regular basis, like most normal people do, that are not me, then this oil is not going to be in there all that long. Get you something that you like, that's affordable in your budget, and don't worry about all the stupid mess they put on the front about, well, this has this in it, and this has this in it. Those things are silly. But do keep in mind, if you have a warranty, because my last truck had a warranty, and I had to use a certain kind of oil so as not to void that warranty. So if you got a warranty, you got to keep that in mind as well. But if you ain't got a warranty, if it's slippery, it'll work in a pinch, you know. If you can see, I got the wheels turned on the F-150 because I have learned last time doing an oil change on it, you cannot get to the filter unless you turn the wheels. So I went ahead and turned them. And your car might be a similar situation. Not every car has the filter in the same place. Some of them are super easy to get to. Like my Ranger, it's pretty simple to get to. Some of them not so much. You'll have to play around with it and figure out which way works best for you, but it's not hard. Listen, I'm doing this video to show you how easy it is to change your oil. It takes you like 10 minutes. All right, so let me get this thing jacked up in the air, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, we got her jacked up. We got stellar supervision. She's gonna supervise. We got a creeper. We got a drain pan. And we got a tool set with no ratchet in it, because that's the one I lost at work. We got a frog living under my hood latch. So, we get me a ratchet here. Figure out which one I used last time. I hope there's room for this. So you got to find the size of your bolt on your drain pan. Do I know what that is? No. I don't remember that. We got jack stands and a jack. We got a stellar. Being an inconvenience. And that jack is probably in the way. I'm going to probably have to move that. No, Stella. You're not being a help. Stella, go get that jack. See that jack, Stella? Go get it and move it out of the way. Well, if you ain't gonna do it, I'm gonna have to do it. Begging your pardon. And there it is. Drain pan. Bolt. I crawled up under here without any tools. Let me go back and get them. By the way, before I make a blooper, make sure you take the top off the drain pan. Definitely don't want to forget about that. Last time I used this was the drainer rear end, so that stinks. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing, because I can't even see what I'm doing. Hopefully there's a socket in here that fits. Let's try this one. I'll be. I should have jacked the truck up a little further. Oh, I should have grabbed a ratchet that fits. Stella, why are you letting me do this? Let's move this for a minute. All right, we got it loose. Don't want to go no further than that. Almost 100% guaranteed I'm going to miss this drain pan when it starts to come out. What you want to do, get it to where you can twist it off with your fingers, which shouldn't take long. It's easy to get a bolt off when it's covered in oil. It's also easier when you got room. What is that? That might be bad. I'm sitting there telling you how easy this is, but on your vehicle that is not lowered like mine, it'd probably be a lot more easy. All right, we got it to the finger tight zone, finger loose. And pa-dow. Now it's just a matter of letting it drain. It doesn't feel like there's, kind of does, but it might be my hand. No, there ain't no metal in that. Also, your drain plug is probably magnetic on the tip. So if your engine is eating itself, there's going to be metal and it'll get caught on the magnet here. But I ain't got nothing on there, so all right, well, lucky for y'all, I remembered I had this light. So you got it down to where there's not really nothing coming out but drips. You can go ahead and put this drain plug back in. Now you don't want to torque this thing to Tampa, okay? Get it good and tight. It's not leaking. That's just residual that's from off the pan. And you're good to go. Time to move on to the filter. As y'all can see, let me show you why I turn the wheel. Because when the wheel is straight, this is over here. And you can't get it out. Like once you, there's the oil filter. Once you get it loose and out, if this isn't turned, there's nowhere to get the oil filter out. So you gotta turn it so you have this gap right here so you can fish it out. And as you can see, they know that when you get it out, it's gonna leak oil all over your cross member. So they put this little drain thing, which doesn't work too particularly good, but it gives you an idea where to put the pan, even though you're probably still gonna make a mess. But of course, your car may be different. Your vehicle may not be a 2002 F-150, so results may vary. So let me show you a similar process to get the oil filter out. That's about as good as I can do with the camera. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing here. Get your filter wrench on there. And if the guy who did the oil before you did it right, it should be that easy to turn it off. Looks like I did use a Wix the last time. I wasn't sure if I did or not. All right, we got it to where you can get it off with your hand. And there's all sorts of filter wrenches you can use, so just whatever works best for you. Make sure our drain pan is in the proper place. And twist. If you can, try and keep it upright. And just dump it into the thing. That was way less messy than last time. All right, now let me show you another very important tip that you may not think about. See this right here? This black ring? When you take your old oil filter off, make sure that is there. Because a lot of times what's called double gasket, maybe there's other terms for it or whatnot. Sometimes this rubber gasket will get stuck to your engine when you're pulling it off, and you won't even notice it. You'll be like, oh, I got my oil filter off, trying to put the other one on there. And then what happens if you put your new oil filter on, which already has its own seal on it, so now you've got two seals. You've got the seal that's stuck on the engine block, and you've got the seal that's on your new filter, and that's too much. So when you go to screw this down, you'll think you got it good and tight, but there's actually a gap. because there's 2 gaskets when there's only supposed to be 1. So it's pushing it back away from the block. And as soon as you turn your motor on, all that fresh oil you just put in it will start pouring out of this filter. So make sure to check when you take your oil filter off that filter is indeed on the old one, or that gasket is indeed on the old filter. If not, you need to get in there, get a flashlight, flathead screwdriver, whatever, and just pry off the old one. But if you do your oil changes correctly, that shouldn't be a problem. If you go, years without changing your oil, then there's a good chance that's going to be stuck on there. And if you tighten down your filter way too tight, there's a good chance that'll be stuck on there. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. All right. So you're going to put your old filter back on. Your new one, not your old one, your new one. Take your new one. Here's that seal I was telling you about. Take your motor oil. It don't have to be the new stuff. It can be the stuff that you drained out of it. But I'm going to use the new stuff because it just makes more sense, you know what I'm saying? If I can figure out something to poke a hole in this thing with. It's your new motor oil. Take your finger. Dip it in. Got motor oil on your finger. And rub it on that seal. Get it good and lubricated. You ain't got to go overboard. And you're ready to go. Now, some people, and I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm just saying some people like to pre-fill the filter before they put it back on. If you like to do that, that's fine. I don't feel like it matters either way. But seeing as, if your filter and you got easy access to it and it screws straight up like that, then by all means, I guess go ahead and fill it up. But my filter goes sideways. So if I fill it up with oil and then I turn it sideways to screw it on the thing, it's going to all pour out. So I ain't never filled my oil filters up before installing them. I've never had any kind of problem from it. Some people swear by it. That's up to you what you want to do. Now let me show you how to put it back on, because this is also a very important step. Now first things first, you just got done draining all that oil, taking off your old oil filter. Your hands are probably going to be a little bit slippery. So before you get started on this process, it might be a good idea to clean them off at least as much as you can, because you're going to need a grip. You're going to need a little bit of a grip to do what I'm about to do. Do not, listen to me. Come here. Do not put this back on with the wrench that you took it off with. You saw me use an oil filter wrench to get it off. Do not use that to put this on. You will hate yourself later, okay? So let me get under here and show you. I'm gonna work it up in there where it goes, which is a pain on an F-150. Now my first F-150, they had relocated because it had a lift kit on it. They had relocated the oil filter to the fender well, so that was pretty awesome. But you get it on there, get it on your threads, screw it on. Make sure y'all can see. Screw it on, screw it on, screw it on, screw it on. Now you feel it getting tight. Now this is the thing where, this is the place where you'd be like, oh, I need to get the wrench on it and tighten it. Do not do that. Hand tight. I know you're telling yourself right now that don't make sense. You don't want your oil to fall out. Let that seal in there do its job, okay? Tighten it as much as you can, as hard as you can, by hand, until you can't tighten it no more. Boom. That's all you need. It's not gonna leak. Now maybe if you're puny, if you ain't got a lot of strength or something, maybe you get somebody else to do it or whatever. But if you're, if you're that kind of person, you probably ain't changing your oil anyway. But I like how you can see the wicks. See the logo. But you get it on there, hand tight, because if you don't, the next time you go to take it off, it might not come off. And I've had an oil filter where couldn't get it off with the wrench, and those things are, you know, they're not solid. So the more pressure you put on, the more they're like a soda can with a filter inside of it. So the more pressure you put on it with a wrench, the more you're going to crumple it. And you'll get to the point where you're like, okay, old trick the old timers use is beat a flathead or beat a screwdriver through it and then use that to undo it. But sometimes that don't work either. Sometimes you put that screwdriver through it and you go to twist it and it just tears it all to pieces. And before you know it, you're down there with a hammer and a chisel trying to get an old oil filter off. So don't put it on with a wrench. Put it on hand tight. Get it good and tight as much as you can with your hand. Don't put a wrench on it. And then next time when you're changing your oil, it'll come off as easy as that old one did you saw earlier when I pulled it off. It'll come off just as easy as that one. All right. So next step, let's fill it with oil. All right, we got her down back on the ground. You can fill it up on the jack stands, but I prefer it to be level so the oil goes all into the places it's supposed to go. See if I can find a funnel. There they are. I feel like that one down there is mine. Maybe not. Where do you put the oil? Well, they make it pretty easy for you to see. It's the big old cap that says oil on it. Especially an import. I know in imports, they will just say oil or engine oil or something like that. This one tells you the factory weight, the oil it came with and what they wanted you to use. But like I said, that was probably great when in 2002 when this thing was brand new. But now it has 200,000 miles on it. Spill your oil on the floor just like that. I'm trying with this light, but like I said, there's no metal under here. And then you just fill it. Keep an eye on that funnel that it don't overflow. Let it go down. You might wonder how many quarts of oil does your vehicle take? It's probably in the owner's manual if you have an owner's manual. If not, do like I do and just Google everything. And you'll find out how many quarts it takes. If you got a small, like a 4-cylinder, you're probably looking at 4 quarts, maybe 4.5. I got a V8, so I'm putting 5 in it. It might even take a little more than that, but 5 will be all right for now. By the way, these jugs, these big jugs of oil is 5 quarts. It says it right there, 5 quarts. So instead of buying 5 individual quarts and having to tote them out of the store, let's get a jug. Plus the oil that is in that drain pan, I can just pour it in here and it's ready for disposal, and my drain pan is ready for the next time I need to use it. All right, we got the oil in. We're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes. Make sure all the oil gets down into the pan. Then we'll crank her up. It's a southern word, by the way, cranker. All right, I got some stuff put away, wash my hands. Been sitting here for a couple now. Now, what you want to do at this point, I can't really do it, but this is what you should do, is you want to check your dipstick and see where your oil is on your dipstick. However, my dipstick is a hot piece of garbage. It doesn't appear, something's wrong. Like when I got the truck, the dipstick was broke. The handle that holds it in had broke off, so I replaced it with one. And when I changed the oil, I'm like, this is way like up the dipstick, like where it's not, and like I know how much oil was in there because I just put it in there. But it was like way up on the stick. So I'm like, well, maybe this is the wrong dipstick for this. So I ordered another one, same thing. Oil was way up on the dipstick, so I don't know if the tube on here is wrong. I did buy another tube somewhere, but I ain't never put it on. But it just, I'll show you what it looks like. This. All right, so now when I pull it out, I should be able to see what my oil level is. But look, the oil is way up here when it's supposed to be down here. This is where it tells you if you're in the good, like max and minimum, but mine's way up here. And I know it's not over full because I just put the oil in it myself. Now that's not gonna be your problem on your vehicle. So I'm just letting you know, after you've done all that we've just done, check that, make sure you're in between where you're supposed to be in between. The different dipsticks look different ways. That one says min and max. So as long as I'm in between those two, I'm good. Yours might have a checker section on it, and it tells you, you know, if as long as you're in the checker section, you're good. And so even though my dipstick doesn't tell me what I need it to tell me, I still know that I just put 5 quarts of fresh oil in it. Another tip, now that I'm thinking about it, get under here. Make sure that you don't see your drain plug dripping. I don't see it dripping, so we're good. And make sure you remember to put it back in. I remember in high school, I had a teacher in high school who changed his oil in the auto mechanic shop, and he forgot to put oil. He forgot to put the drain plug back in. So he went to the top of the motor, started pouring all his oil in, and on the bottom it was going all on the floor. So make sure you remember to put your drain plug in. But anyway, 5 quarts, fresh oil filter, and she should be good to go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Check our oil pressure, even though this gauge is a joke. Right at the halfway point, right where we should be. So let me put some stuff away and I'll come close this one out. All right, well, I guess we're going to end it there for this one. This is a video I've had on my mind for a couple weeks now. It didn't go quite as entertaining as I thought it was going to be, but like I said, you know, I don't know, I'm editing this video now. I don't know how long it took me to do that, but you got to keep in mind, I was trying to show you, and I was trying to move the camera around in various locations so that you could see what I was doing. So typically, like if I wasn't doing none of that, that would have been 15 minutes tops for me to change my oil. No time at all. Probably faster than if you took it to have it done. But I understand the convenience of taking it and having it done somewhere. but you also don't know what you're getting. You don't know what they're doing under there. You don't know if they're putting the drain plug back in, or if they're selling you some oil that's more expensive than what you actually need. So doing it yourself, you get the stuff you want. It takes 15 minutes or so, and you're good to go. So just because however long this video took, don't think, oh man, that's an overwhelming job. No, it don't take no time at all. It's just takes longer when you're recording it and trying to teach people things. But we're gonna close her out there. You know, we like to finish up in the Word. I got a new tablet, and I got my Bible app on here. Should probably peel that sticker off. Got my little pencil that goes with it. It's awesome. So I want to talk about today Matthew chapter number 15. Since we were just doing an oil change, if you notice, when the oil goes in, it's like a gold colored, nice gold brown, whatever you want to call it, clear-ish brown color when you put it in. But when it comes out, and the stuff that came out was black as night. That's what happens when it goes through your engine a couple thousand times. It turns black. You look at Matthew 15, Matthew 15, verse number 10, and he called the multitude, said unto them, hear and understand, not that which goeth into the mouth defileth the man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. And this whole thing had to do with Pharisees talking about what they were eating and stuff like that, I believe. And Jesus was saying, you know, it's not quite as important what you eat as much as what comes out of your mouth. So the most important thing is, what message are you conveying to people? Like, is your language foul? Is your language selfish? The things that come out of your mouth, are they hurtful to people for no good reason? You know, sometimes you say some things that hurt people, and you know, it is what it is. People are offended by the truth these days, but sometimes things come out of your mouth that you just shouldn't say. You should consider your words before you speak them. And Jesus is saying, not that which goes out into the mouth defileth man, meaning, you know, the Jews had all these laws about what foods they could eat, what they couldn't eat, and Jesus is like, that ain't quite as important as what comes out of your mouth, the words that you speak and stuff like that. If you're not saved, if you're not saved, I don't expect you to be goody two shoes and watching your language and stuff like that. But if you are saved, our speech is to be seasoned with salt, as the Bible says. In fact, let me look that up. It's Colossians 4:6 says, let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man. So, you know, we expect unsaved people to do unsaved people things. But if you're a child of God, you're born again, we expect, you know, your language not to sound like the language of the world. For your language to be always with grace, having grace when you speak, not sounding like a sailor, you know. So the oil don't defile. You know, the oil we put in the truck was nice, brand new, golden. You can see through it. It's, you know, what's the word? Translucent, not transparent, but translucent. Nice oil. But the oil we took out was nasty. And God pours into you when you get saved, the Spirit. The Holy Ghost is inside you. And that's good. But what comes out of you should be the same thing as what God has put in you. That Holy Ghost. So, we're supposed to be an example. And a lot of Christians these days aren't. They act just like the world. But don't be one of them. Be somebody who sets the example. Be someone who somebody not only looks at your life, but hears the words come out of your mouth and be like, something's different about that person. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out. And then we have an opportunity to tell them what it is that's different about us. And we get to tell them the gospel and tell them how they can come out of that, into the out of that darkness, that dark murky oil, into the light. And yeah, if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Savior, if you've never had that moment in your life where you came to yourself and realized you were a sinner in need of a Savior, if you've never had that moment, then I encourage you to get saved today. 1 Corinthians 1:21 says, "For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God." In the world's wisdom, they know not God. "But it pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe." People believe by hearing. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So make sure that the words coming out of your mouth are something worth believing in. Anyhow, appreciate y'all stopping by for this episode of Riches and Wrenches. Remember, we now have a Patreon. If you feel like becoming a supporter on Patreon, donating some money on, well, it could be monthly, it could be one time only. I don't really know how it works over there. I know you can do it monthly, but it would help us to buy parts and tools and stuff like that. But if not, say, hey, I ain't got money to spare. Don't cost you nothing to subscribe and comment below and like the video, all that stuff. Doesn't cost you nothing to do anything like that, and it helps us out a whole bunch. As far as the future goes, we need to get those control arms on. I can hear those ball joints popping in the morning when I'm backing into my spot at work and I turn the wheel, pop. I hear them popping, so I'm pretty sure it would be a great benefit to get those control arms replaced so we get some new ball joints under there. And the air conditioner thing, honestly, I'm probably going to take it to somebody and have them fix it, because I just don't have the tools necessary to fix an air conditioner. And I think it's the compressor. I think the compressor is going out in it, or has gone out. Last Wednesday I drove it home from work and the air conditioner worked fine till I got about halfway home, and then it stopped. And then Friday I probably wasn't even halfway home and it stopped. It started blowing hot. So I think the compressor is going out in it. It's making a racket, and I think that's the compressor death throes of the compressor. So I really, really, really want to get to work on Scarlet. I really want to get that truck back on the road again. As excited I was about doing the lowering kit is how much I am excited about getting Charlotte back on the road again. And the first main thing, we got to get that fuel pump changed out to make sure she's going to start and run. And then after that, we got to change all the fluids. And probably don't have to do the brakes. So plenty of stuff to do, but I'm going to probably have to do it in the yard. And it's summertime, so it rains every day in Florida. So we'll have to work around all that. But hopefully we'll have some content coming up on Scarlet pretty soon. Appreciate y'all joining me. And don't forget, you might regret buying that Ford, but you'll never regret being forgiven. See y'all next time.